Dr. Lin's team discovers an ancient tomb that may contain the secret of immortality. To open it, Dr. Lin recruits archaeologist and treasure hunter Zhang Xiao, who is following in the footsteps of his father, who disappeared many years ago during an expedition. It seems likely that his journey ended in this very tomb, and Xiao will do everything he can to get inside. Chinese writer Zhang Muye, better known by the pen name Tianxia Bachang, is best known as the author of the book series Ghost Blows Out the Light, which later inspired a number of films under the general title Mojin and the TV series Candle in the Tomb. The books brought him widespread popularity, but they were not his first writing project. Before them, Zhang had been publishing another story in serialized chapters online. After the success of Ghost Blows Out the Light, he completed that earlier work and released it as a finished novel titled Lost in the Kunlun Mountains. The novel was first adapted in 2022 as a television series of the same name, though the show kept very little of the original story. Its creators changed nearly everything, from the characters to the time period and setting. Even so, the series became a record-breaking hit on the streaming platform iQIUI. The film Hidden in the Kunlun is not a faithful adaptation either, but at least its creators preserved the spirit of the book, an adventure that blends mythological fantasy with science fiction. On one hand, the film is structured like a typical tomb-raiding adventure, and even begins with the obligatory prologue in which a previous expedition encounters the tomb's hostile inhabitants. But even here it becomes clear that the filmmakers weren't simply copying their predecessors. The creatures inside the tomb latch onto people, much like facehuggers from the Alien universe. Everything falls into place later when the story introduces not only a frozen warrior from the past, something that might belong in a film like Iceman Cometh, but also an extraterrestrial civilization and an alien spacecraft disguised as an ancient tomb. It's a fairly original and ambitious concept, but while watching the film, you can't shake the feeling that the creators bit off more than they could chew. Spectacle clearly takes center stage here, and online streaming films rarely come with large budgets. As a result, the scale and grandeur of Hidden in the Kunlun are mostly implied rather than realized. The epic scope is suggested, but what we actually see on screen lacks technical credibility. Instead of getting immersed in the story, you're constantly reminded of the flimsy sets, low-budget CGI, and unconvincing green screen work. The cast doesn't help either. There isn't a single major star, just relatively unknown young actors in the lead roles, and a few respected veterans in supporting parts. Unfortunately, as is often the case with streaming productions, this feels like a movie made without any long-term vision. Rather than launching a new franchise, it seems designed simply to attract viewers once with a recognizable title and a familiar brand. The filmmakers do a passable job, maybe a weak C+, and then move on to the next expedition in search of another unplundered tomb filled with treasure. With this approach, unfortunately, those treasures are becoming fewer and fewer.